Hey everybody, welcome to Home Recording Made Easy and Mix Tip Tuesday, where every Tuesday I show you a new mixing tip to help you make more professional sounding mixes in your home studio. Before we get to this week's tip, if you're new here, please consider subscribing. Make sure you hit that notification bell and also stick around till the end of the video, because at the end of the video I have something I want to give you absolutely free that's really going to help you with your mixing training, so be sure to stick around. Okay, everybody, welcome. I'm not sure if this is going to be Mix Tip Tuesday or if this is going to be Plugin Review Friday, because we're talking about mixing and we're talking about plugins. So we'll see what day this ends up being posted on YouTube. But anyway, last week, if you remember, and if you don't remember, click the link in the description box below. We took a look at a comparison between a mix that was done with third-party plugins, and we compared that to a mix that was done with only stock plugins. Same song mixed by yours truly, 2 different times in a row from start to finish. And I shared the results with you, and you got to hear the difference between, is there a real sonic difference between stock plugins only versus third-party plugins? You can watch the video by clicking the link in the description box below. So this week, we're going to take that a step further, because some of you may be saying, okay, Dave, well, maybe there is a difference between third-party plugins and stock plugins, depending on what your personal tastes are. But is there a difference between using and mixing with third-party plugins that are analog style console or analog style emulations, plugin emulations, or the real analog console? Great question. We have that here. So I had an opportunity about a week ago to go visit a place that had a real brand new analog console. Now, I'm not going to say which one it is because I don't want to offend people. I don't want to offend any companies. I'm not here to bash anybody, but let's just say it's a famous console that you all know. Okay. It's a name brand that you all know. It's not some off the wall, someone built it in their backyard. It is a famous, analog console. And I was able to bring up some stem files, drums, bass, guitar, 2 drums, bass, 2 guitars. About 9 tracks, and I was able to mix it on that console using the onboard EQ and compressor, okay, all analog, and the analog master section, bounced that out, and then I came back to my studio, and I took those same raw files, and I mixed them with Steven Slate's console emulator to emulate the console that I was mixing on, for real, along with adding some of the Slate EQ and compression on the same tracks that I EQ and compressed up at the place with the real console. Make sense? So the EQ and compressor is going to be not the same make and model, but the console is. And I wanted you to be able to hear the difference. Is there a difference between mixing with these analog style plugins that we all talk about, and how close is it really to a real expensive, and in this case, nearly $60,000 real analog console? It's a great question. Most people have never had the opportunity to do this, so I wanted to share this with you. So on the screen here, we have Mix A in purple, Mix B in blue. Okay, we're going to listen to them side by side, and you decide, or you see if you can tell the difference. Which one do you like better, and which one do you think was mixed with the real $60,000 console with the onboard EQ and compressor, and which one do you think was mixed with using the Slate Digital console emulation plus the Slate Digital? I believe I used the FG401 Red compressor. And again, we're just compressing a very little bit, a couple of dB on every track, nothing major. And I believe I used the API, the FGA EQ. Again, just a little bit, just to clean things up a little. No major EQ and compression, okay? So we're going to start off, keep your eye on the faders down here, on the mute buttons. We're going to start off with Mix A in purple, and I'm going to go back and forth to B. It's just a little snippet of music. Again, this was, drums, bass, 2 guitar tracks, and that was it. And I had vocals, but I didn't put it in this session for copyright reasons. So here we go. So here is Mix A, and then I will switch to Mix B. Here's Mix A. We're going to go to Mix B. Okay. Which one sounds better to you? Which one do you think was mixed on the real console versus the plugins? Okay, it's pretty close. Okay, you want to listen to it again? Let's try one more time. This time I'm going to play it all the way through. Or maybe I'll go halfway through so you can kind of. So I'm going to play mix A, and then we're going to go over to mix B. So here's mix A. Here comes mix B. Okay, what do you think? Okay, I'm going to tell you. Mix A was the plugins. Mix B is a $60,000 analog console with their onboard EQ and compression. I actually prefer myself Mix A a little bit. Now, again, some of the EQ differences there is, again, I didn't have the same exact EQ and plugin format as I had with the console itself. I did them at 2 different times of the day. I wasn't like sitting side by side doing it, you know what I mean? So I tried to get as close as I could. The characteristics of the EQ and even the compressor with the plugins in Mix A is not the same exact compressor that was on the console, obviously. So it's going to sound a little bit different. Okay, just a tiny bit different. But the point of this was, and honestly, I was quite shocked. I would have thought. Now, again, to be fair to the analog console, okay, I only worked on it for about an hour, hour and a half. I didn't work on it very long. I mean, we didn't get, real crazy, but I mean, we just used EQ compression, pushed up the faders, tried to balance them, and then bounced it back out into the DAW. Ran it through the master section and bounced it back out. No additional outboard gear, nothing like that was used. So again, if we worked on the console a little bit longer, could we have squeezed a little bit better sound out of it? Maybe, to be fair. Again, I'm more used to working with the plugins these days than I would be an analog console. But quick, just, not real scientific, but just quick, run it through all the analog stuff, print it, come back, use plugins to try to emulate the same console and the Slate Digital plugin, add a little EQ and compression as you did on the analog console. What's the difference? It's very, 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 very close, okay? Unlike the video that we did last week, which again, links in the description box below if you didn't see it, where we compared the sonic differences between third-party plugins and stock plugins. There was a much bigger difference than there is between running your sound through real analog gear versus just plugins. So that's a credit. And again, I only use Slate Digital because that's what I know and that's what I have. I could have probably very easily used the NLS by Waves and emulated the same console that we use for real. And there's probably others. So again, depending on the plugins, they could sound a little different. But the whole point of this video and the whole point of my experiment was I am shocked at how close and how good a lot of these plugins have gotten today. It has gotten really, 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 really good that even some of the most famous engineers in the world, one that comes to mind that everyone probably knows is Andrew Scheps, who mixes totally in the box, doesn't mix through any analog gear anymore because he feels that the plugins have come close enough and that he travels a lot and stuff, and he doesn't want to be tied down to a room with a bunch of analog equipment. Although he loves and has mixed on the equipment for decades, he feels it's good enough now, the technology and the plugins and the engineering skills that he has, obviously, are second to none, that he mixes hit records. And there's other engineers that do that as well. Now, there are many more engineers that will do more of a hybrid approach, where they'll have like either an analog desk that maybe they've been working on for so many years and that they're used to and that they love the tactile feel as opposed to a mouse and a keyboard. And again, there's all kinds of reasons why you would want to mix on an analog console versus just plugins. And a lot of it could be the look of it, the feel of it, the tactile feel of it, the emotion that brings. There's a whole other set of reasons. But just from strictly a sound perspective, here is a great example of how plugins have come so close to analog gear. Now, a lot of guys, again, will go maybe do a hybrid. So I do get a lot of questions about hybrid mix setups where maybe you're not using a console in your DAW, but maybe you're using your DAW with a mouse and a keyboard, but you also want to add maybe some hardware, outboard hardware, to kind of route your audio out of your DAW through some hardware, then back into your DAW to give it that hardware flavor. And again, every piece of hardware is different, and there are different pieces of hardware that maybe are better suited for that sort of thing than as opposed to plugins. Again, there's different rhymes and reasons for everything. But I just wanted to show everybody, and we'll listen to it one more time here, that the plugins have really come so close to the analog consoles, at least in this particular case. And I was really shocked and surprised, and I wanted to share it with all of you to show you that, yes, you could get a really killer mix if you have some of these third-party plugins and you know how to use them and you have basically really good engineering skills. Remember the old saying, it's not about the gear, it's about the ears, your ears, and how you make decisions. And that comes back to the gear that you use. Yes, in part, the skills that you have. Yes, in part, the room that you're in. Yes, in part, the monitoring system that you have. Yes, in part, and we'll talk about a lot of that stuff in other videos. But here's a quick little demonstration. So once again, I'm going to start off with Mix A, which is the DAW mix with the plugins, and we'll switch back and forth again and just see if you what you think. Here we go. So again, Mix A, which is the plugin mix, again, just using the Slate Digital VCC, there's a little bit more hype in there, sounds a little bit more finished, whereas Mix B sounds a little bit more raw, a little bit more, some people might say natural. That's probably not the right word, but a little more raw sounding, because again, there's no saturators here on Mix A. There's none of that stuff. It's just console emulation, EQ, and compression. Okay, so I thought you might find that interesting. I found it very interesting. I thought and was thinking there was going to be a much bigger difference in Mix B, meaning that not so much from a tonal aspect, but I was expecting a width and a depth and just a punch that would come out of the analog console that wasn't going to come out of the plugins. That's what I was thinking was going to happen. And boy, I was really surprised in proving that that's not the case. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you for sticking around till the end. And as I said earlier, I want to give you a couple of free gifts. If this is your first time here, make sure you head out to homerecordingmadeeasy.com. I want to give you 5 free mixing training courses. We talk a lot about mixing on this channel to help you with your mixes. 5 free courses at homerecordingmadeeasy.com. I also want to give you a coupon code. Your coupon code will come up on the screen right about now, YouTube25. That will take 25% off any one of my training courses on my website. Head on over to homerecordingmadeeasy.com and take 25% off today. And until next week, I've been Dave with homerecordingmadeeasy.com. And oh, by the way, let me know below what you think. Give me some comments. Let me know, what do you think? Which one did you like better? I should have said that a few minutes ago. Which one did you like better? What do you think? Have you have any experience mixing on an analog console versus plugins? What do you think the differences are? I'd love to hear your comments below. Until next week, I will see you. I'm Dave. Talk to you soon. Take care, everybody.